Hey Paisley, I like the idea of your background. I just think that maybe a little bit of work needs to be done on it because it's kind of dominating your caricature a little bit, and you can't see a lot of the elements. For example, this kind of the mouse on this side doesn't really stand out. You can't really even see it, nor can you see this kind of stuff. I mean, you can see how well you see it here. So I would definitely work on that. I would, let me see what shadow. I would probably turn off the wall shadow. I would keep this one, but I'd probably drag it to the side a little bit. So it's just, yeah, it's just the shadows are okay if they actually add something to it, but if they don't, they just make, they add like just like some cloudy darkness. And also the mustache and this screen, you can't use just a mustache. It has to be some kind of computer object. So I would probably either just get rid of the mustache altogether. You don't really need it. Where is it? Dun, 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 dun. There it is. So yeah, and what you could do is you could add that, give it some pixelation here so it looks like a screen, because as it is now it just looks flat because it looks like something was stuck onto, it just looks like kind of what it is. It's just an image on a screen. It doesn't really integrate into the background. Let's see the power button. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably continue working on this. You could do that filter that makes it look like a screen. Let me see if I could do this one. So what you really would need to do then is you need to I'm going to put these all in another little group inside of here. So then let's see if I can apply this filter to it. It's gonna oh no, you can't. Let me see if I can lock them together. Okay, I'm going to say link layers. And then you can go into the filters. It's still not going to do it. Oh, I see. It's because it's that. Just a second. So basically what I did is I just made another layer and I put this box. I just made it white because I just wanted to show you how to do this filter. You go to Filter Gallery and I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. And if you go to this one that's called halftone pattern, and if you see here, you select line. I mean, this is what dot looks like. That, it looks kind of like print. There's circle. That's kind of crazy. So if you do something like this, and then you can play with the size, and then what it does is it kind of looks like it looks like a like a screen, like the lines of a screen. So I'm just going to say okay. And then what you would need to do then is you would need to use the perspective transformation to get it to be smaller on one side. So then I would go to edit, and then I would go to transform, and then I would go to perspective. And then what you can do is then you can make this side smaller, right? So we're just kind of trying to work with it so it'll fit in your So I'm going to say okay, and then I'm going to just move it over here. So what needs to happen now is it needs to fit there. So again, you can do I'm going to deselect. You could do a transformation, and then just continue to kind of start working. Work with just fitting it in there. And again, it needs to be rotated. And so once you kind of fit it into this area, and you just have to keep working on it. You probably have to cut some out of it. Again, I'm just trying to, you would do a much better job. So then you have something that looks a little bit more, like a pattern. You could even put it, you could even make it transparent. It's hard to see it with the stuff underneath it. And for some reason it doesn't want to turn off either. So that's just kind of one idea to make it look more like a screen. So another thing I noticed too is that this is really hard to see. You can see that, right? Because you can't really even, since it's so dark, it doesn't stand out at all. So I'm going to try to find that wherever it is. Right speaker. That's that one. Left speaker. So you could, over this, you could do a levels, and that will also bring it out. So here we have the levels, and I'm just going to, you know, move it back and forth. And just look at this speaker, because then I'm going to clip it. Yeah, it's so dark, it's just really hard to even make it stand out at all. That looks a little bit better, but not much. So you might want to do some work on that, because since you can't see it, it just looks kind of like it doesn't fit in. So again, I'm going to clip this, and so then it's just clipping to that layer. Yeah, it doesn't really do anything, does it? Because this whole speaker is not being shown. So that's a few suggestions. So mainly the screen, the speaker, and the background. Also with the text, I'm going to turn this back on. It's really hard to see the red text. I would probably not go with this kind of warped. I know people love it. It just doesn't really look professional. I would go with just, you know, just a straight on text. I'm not sure about the font. You could go to DaFont and look for something kind of, you know, go to that techno group. So in DaFont.com, you can see right here. If you go to this, you know, there's so many different ones, but if you go to like, you know, any of these techno fonts, it's kind of cool. There's actually a lot of cool fonts in there. So I'm just going to do, well, there's these digital ones. I wouldn't do anything really fancy because, again, it's really important that this is, that you can read it. So, again, and you don't have to just stick with these. You can go into any of these, you know, any of these kind of fonts here. Yeah, I don't know about horror. So anyway, you kind of get the idea here. There's just so many fonts. Again, these would be really hard to read. So you want to kind of stick with something pretty basic, like one of these. So that would really help too. And for the background, you could maybe use this again if you put a levels. Try using a levels with it, just because it's too strong. That's just an issue all the time with, you know, people like the backgrounds, but they don't realize you can't really see the caricature, and what it's doing is just taking away from it. So I'm just playing with these levels, trying to see. Probably, since you've got so much dark stuff, you probably want to make it light. Again, see, this isn't really doing much. It would just be a lot better just to have, you know, a lighter background. I'm just going to turn this off. So you could do something also, like you could put another layer on top of it, and you could probably fill it with a white or some other color. And then you could give it some transparent, you know, make it a little transparent so you can just see a little bit through the background. Again, this is not the optimal thing. Also because this big white thing is a little bit, you know, it just doesn't, you can't really tell what it is. So I would just look for another background with negative space. You know, you could do some, you know, blends. Just see that just looks like the other one. You could do so you can play with some of these blend modes, but you know, it doesn't really work all that well. You could try putting this underneath it and then do some other blend modes, because let's see, let's just do lighten. Yeah, see, some of them just don't really work very good, so I mean, that's okay, but that's a little too light, right? Let's see what hard light. And that just looks, some of them don't change much, as you can see. You know, some of these color ones are pretty cool, but they have to really fit in with what you're doing, right? That's kind of cool, but again, it's just too busy. You really want to get something that's, you know, less busy. That's the whole idea. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, since this is the bigger part here, I would make this back leg, where is it? Huh. It's kind of funny because it's not really showing. I wonder where it is. Oh, I see. You merged all these. This is really never a good idea to merge all this together. Let me see if I can find that leg here. Because you can't really do anything with these individual parts. They're all part of one. So I would really suggest not not merging any layers together, especially until it's completely finished. And then what you should do is use Save As. So let me find that. And just to illustrate what I was talking about, where is it? There it is. If you make this bigger, it's going to look like it's further away. I mean, smaller. So then you just have more depth with, in your, I mean, that's a little bit too small. You have to kind of go down like that because it's kind of cut off. So let's see, let's make it a little bit bigger just because it's, and then, you can make this one a little bit bigger, then it's going to look like it's coming forward. So let me see. Yeah, there's some issues with the merging of the layers. That's too bad. It'd be great if you could post another one. So anyway, overall, I think the caricature looks good. I think before some of this stuff was added up here, I think it was a lot more effective. I probably would just get rid of the speakers just because they're not reading as anything, so they tend to, and you could also just put this power button, make it really big in the middle, and then use that use that filter. But the speakers just, yeah, I would probably get rid of it. It just is not, it's not really doing anything. And the eye's okay, but again, I would do something with it because it looks like it's just sitting on top. Okay, so anyway, I'm going on too long here. So the main thing here now is the background, right? Let me go take this back to normal. The background needs to be changed, or something needs to be done where we can really see what's going on here. And I would really work on the font and the text. And again, I think I've already showed you a lot of this, some of these elements, but but something like this, you can really, these are two different fonts, but this is italics, and then they put a stroke around them too, so it really works well. And when I say negative space, see how there's all this plain space? That's why this caricature is really standing out. If there's a really busy, and again here too, this has been really muted in the background. So if you could somehow mute the background, but she actually drew these little things here. And again, see the text. It's just the warp text just never really looks that good. And he struggled a lot on his background. And he really had to play around with it because it was it was just too strong. It just swallowed up his whole caricature. So those are just a few little things I wanted to show you. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions. You have pretty much till Wednesday, so yeah, I'll wait for your next revision, and yeah, so overall, nice job. I really like the caricature. Yeah, I would just make some of the changes. Okay,